I have always said a live auction is not a show, it is a pulse. You either feel it or you fake it. In my family, the pulse belonged to our little sports card shop, tucked between a pawn store and a bakery that always smelled like warm sugar and bad decisions. Our sign read Northgate Card House, which sounded grand if you ignored the fact that the door stuck in humid weather and the carpet had seen more spilled soda than any human should witness. Still, people loved us. They came for rookie cards, for nostalgia, for the thrill of chasing something rare. They also came for me. I ran the streams. My brother Jace liked to tell people we ran them together. That was like saying a steering wheel and a backseat passenger share the same job. Jace brought energy, sure. He could shout prices, toss jokes, flash his grin like it was a coupon. But I built the rhythm. I picked the lots, wrote the descriptions, tracked the bidders, handled the chat, and kept the whole thing from crashing when the internet decided to throw a tantrum. Our parents, mom and dad, called it teamwork. I called it survival. On stream days, I arrived early morning with coffee and a list. Jace arrived later with swagger and a snack he would crumble onto the table like he was seasoning the merchandise. I would line up the graded slabs like tiny glass trophies, set the camera angle so the holograms caught the light, and test the sound. Then I would paste on my smile, because the audience could smell tension the way a dog smells fear. And sports card people? They were not casual shoppers. They were hunters. They listened. They judged. They remembered. That day started smooth. The chat scrolled fast, full of regulars. Milo wrote, "Let's go, Queen of Comps." Tess typed, "Show the vintage basketball lot again." I lifted a card, turned it under the lamp, and felt the familiar spark. "All right, friends. You see the edges, you see the centering. If this card had any more balance, it would start doing yoga." He chuckled beside me, leaning toward the camera like it was his mirror. "She talks sweet, but she bites. Bid smart." I did not mind his lines, when they stayed in their lane. I minded when he drifted into mine. We hit a football rookie slab that I had teased all week. A beauty. Crisp corners, clean label. The kind of card that made people forget rent existed. The bids jumped fast. I tracked usernames, called out increments, and kept the tempo tight. Then Jace cut in, loud and proud. "Folks, this is the biggest pull of the day. You are looking at a future legend. Do not let my sister scare you off with her fancy words." I blinked at him, still smiling at the camera. "My fancy words are called accuracy," he laughed. "Sure, and your spreadsheets are called personality." The chat reacted with a few laughing emojis. I let it slide. I always did. But then he did the thing he loved most. He rewrote reality. "We found this in the collection I bought last week," he announced. "I dug through boxes for hours, rescued it from obscurity. You can thank me later." My fingers tightened around the slab. Because he did not buy that collection. I did. I drove across town, negotiated with a retired coach who knew every card by memory, and carried the boxes myself. Jace had stayed home, claiming a headache, which somehow did not stop him from going out later to post selfies. I kept my tone light. "We found it in the collection we bought, yes. I am glad you finally met the boxes." His smile froze. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means facts," I said, still facing the camera. "And the facts are that I brought this lot in. I prepped it. I priced it. So let us keep the credit where the work lives." The room went quiet in that sharp way only a live stream can manage. Jace shifted, eyes flashing. "You always do this," he snapped. "You have to be right. You have to correct me." I held my smile, but it felt like holding a glass that was already cracking. "I have to keep the trust. People pay us because we know what we are doing." He leaned in, voice rising. "People pay because of me. I bring the hype." The chat started to pop. Milo. Jace. Chill. Tess. "She is running the board. Let her speak." Another regular, Darnell, wrote, "We came for her breakdowns." That last one landed like a match. Jace stared at the screen, and I watched the moment he realized the crowd was not behind him. His jaw worked, like he was chewing his pride into smaller pieces. "You all are biased," he muttered. "She has you wrapped around her finger." I lifted the slab again, voice steady. "Or maybe they just like being treated like adults." His face turned red. "You think you are the whole business." "I think I am the part keeping it upright," I said. On camera, the argument looked like a sibling squabble. Off camera, it was a line snapping. I felt it in my ribs. Jace shoved his chair back. "Fine," he said, loud enough for the mic. "Since you are so perfect, do it without me." Then he stormed away. I kept going because that was what I did. I ran the auction, joked through the tension, and sold the lot anyway. The bids stayed strong. The chat stayed with me. They even defended me, like they were throwing themselves between me and a speeding car. When the stream ended, the silence in the shop was thick. Jace came back in, eyes bright with anger. "You embarrassed me," he hissed. "You embarrassed yourself," I said, calm now that the camera was off. He grabbed his phone. "I am telling Mom and Dad." He said it like a threat, like our parents were judges and I was a reckless child. And in that moment, I knew exactly how the story would be told to them. I just did not know how far the fallout would go. Jace did not tell our parents the truth. He told them a performance. He walked into the back office where Mom kept shipping labels and Dad kept old inventory notes, and he delivered his version with the wounded hero voice he saved for customer complaints. I did not hear every word, but I heard enough. Words like disrespect, sabotage, ungrateful, and the most poisonous one, disloyal. I went home that night with the taste of electricity on my tongue. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the stream in my mind like a slow-motion crash. Not because I wondered if I was wrong, because I wondered how long I had been swallowing wrongness just to keep the peace. Early morning, my phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Come in. We need to talk." The shop felt colder than usual when I arrived. Mom sat behind the counter, arms crossed. Dad leaned against the display case like he needed it for support. Jace stood off to the side, looking tragic and victorious. Dad spoke first. "We watched the replay." Mom nodded. "It was ugly." "It was honest," I said. Dad sighed. "You undermined your brother on camera." I stared at him. He claimed he bought a collection that I bought. He lied. In front of customers. Mom waved a hand. "It does not matter who bought what. You could have corrected him later." "Later is where lies go to grow," I said, then bit the inside of my cheek. I could feel my temper trying to climb out of my throat. Jace added softly, "You made me look small." I looked right at him. "You made yourself look lazy." Mom snapped, "Enough." Dad held up a palm. "We cannot have fighting on streams. It splits the audience. It hurts the business." "The audience already picked," I said. "They supported me because they want the truth." Dad frowned. "That is exactly the problem. You turned them against Jace." I let out a short laugh that surprised even me. "So the problem is not his lie. The problem is that people noticed." Dad straightened. "We made a decision. For now, you will not be on the live streams." The words hit like a door slamming. I blinked. "Excuse me?" Mom spoke, voice firm. "You can help in the shop, sort inventory, pack orders, but Jace will host alone, until things calm down." Jace did not even pretend to be humble. He looked at me like he had won a contest he did not enter. My hands shook. "You are punishing me for keeping your customers informed." Dad said, "We are protecting the family business." I tasted bitterness. "The family business is me and you know it." Mom stood up. "Do not speak to us like that." "I will speak to you like adults," I said, voice sharper now. "Because I am one. I built the system that keeps those streams running. I wrote the scripts. I managed the bidders. I handled disputes. Jace reads cards like he is announcing a parade." Dad's face hardened. Then it will be easier for you to step back. Step back. Like I was a dancer who missed a beat, not the person who wrote the music. I took off my lanyard, the one with the shop logo, and set it on the counter carefully. Fine, I said. If you want me off the streams, I will be off the streams. Mom's eyes softened for a heartbeat. We love you. This is temporary. Temporary. That word was a pacifier. It soothed without feeding. I walked out, the bell over the door ringing like a laugh. For the rest of that day, I did something I had not done in years. Nothing. I sat on my couch and let the shame wash over me, even though I knew I did not deserve it. Shame is sneaky. It wears the mask of guilt and asks to be comforted. I told myself maybe I should have kept my mouth shut. Maybe I should have smiled through his lie. Maybe peace was worth the taste of fake. Then my phone buzzed again. Messages from regulars. Milo. Where were you today? Stream felt dead. Tess. Jace kept messing up the lots. He did not know the comps. Darnell. He ended early, said the energy was off. Energy was off. I almost laughed. Because the energy was me. I opened the replay out of curiosity. The stream was a mess. The camera angle was too high, glare washed out the cards, and the chat moved like a tired river. Jace stumbled over card names, misread grades, and ignored questions until people stopped asking. Then, midway through, someone typed, "Bring her back." Another, "This is not it." Jace snapped at the chat, told them to be patient, and blamed a bad connection. The connection was fine. It was the host who was buffering. I set my phone down and stared at my hands. They still knew the work. They still remembered the pace. That was when the shame broke. It cracked open and spilled something hotter underneath. Not rage. Clarity. If they could cut me out of what I built, then I could build something they could not touch. I got up, grabbed my notebook, and started writing. Not a script for Northgate Card House. A script for me. A new name. A new format. A new promise. Transparency. Quick shipping. Clean lots. No ego. And the sweetest part of the plan was simple. I would not ask anyone for permission. The day after I wrote my plan, I woke up with a strange calm. It was the kind that comes right before a storm chooses its direction. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and turned my hurt into logistics. Step 1. Branding. Northgate Card House belonged to my parents, but the audience belonged to whoever respected them. I needed a name that felt sharp, confident, and a little playful. I landed on Card Riot Exchange. It sounded like a place where cards mattered and nonsense did not. It also sounded like the kind of company my brother would hate, which felt like a bonus I did not need but enjoyed anyway. Step 2. Structure. I drafted policies, clear grading disclaimers, refund rules, shipping timelines. I designed auction templates that made the chat easy to follow. I set up a clean spreadsheet for lots and a bidding tracker that did not depend on anyone remembering anything. Step 3. The hard part. Inventory. I did not have the wall of cards my parents had, but I had something better. Relationships. I knew collectors who trusted my eye. I knew local sellers who preferred honesty over haggling. I sent messages to a retired teacher who loved baseball cards like they were bedtime stories, to a gym owner who collected basketball rookies and treated them like trophies, to a quiet woman named Wren, who had boxes of vintage hockey cards and a sharp sense of humor. I did not beg. I offered a deal. I would run auctions with transparent comps, clean presentation, and fast payouts. They would bring the cards. We would split the profit. Responses came fast. Wren, I have been waiting for you to do this. The teacher, I trust you. When do we start? The gym owner, if you keep it professional, I am in. I sat back, surprised by how quickly the world opened when I stopped knocking on a locked door. I ordered a simple backdrop and a decent camera stand. I rearranged the spare room in my apartment into a mini studio. A folding table, bright lamp, neat stacks of penny sleeves, and a little sign that read, Card Riot Exchange in bold letters. It felt ridiculous and thrilling, like putting on a crown made of paper and realizing it still looked like power. Around early evening, I went live. I did not announce it everywhere. Just a few posts, a few direct messages to regulars, a calm invite. The chat trickled in. Then it poured. Milo showed up with a string of fire emojis. Tess followed with a simple, finally. Darnell arrived and typed, I told them they messed up. I smiled into the camera, not the forced smile I wore at Northgate, but a real one that warmed my face. Welcome to Card Riot Exchange, I said. House rules. I do not lie, I do not rush you, and I do not pretend a scratch is a feature. The chat laughed. I felt the pulse return. I started with a small baseball lot, explained the condition, highlighted the flaws, and set a fair opening bid. I kept the pace crisp. I read the chat like it was a second language. I called out bids, confirmed winners, and made sure everyone felt seen. Halfway through, someone asked, Where is Jace? I tilted my head slightly. Jace is busy running a stream that does not have me on it. The chat exploded with laughter and sympathy. Someone typed, Savage. I replied, I prefer the word efficient. The bids climbed. The energy stayed high. I had forgotten how good it felt to run a room without swallowing my own voice. By the end, I had sold out my first set of lots and booked 2 more collections for upcoming streams. I ended the live with a calm promise. Same place next stream day. Bring your questions, bring your budgets, bring your best trash talk. We will keep it classy. As soon as I clicked off, I leaned back and exhaled. My phone buzzed. A message from Mom. Your brother says customers are leaving our stream. I stared at the text. No greeting, no concern. Just blame wrapped in worry. I did not reply. I got another message, this time from Dad. We heard you are streaming. This is not fair to the family. Not fair. The words made me laugh out loud in my empty room. Fair was what they said when they wanted me to shrink. I typed, deleted, typed again, then deleted again. Silence, I decided, was cleaner. Next stream day, my audience doubled. I added a new feature, quick education moments. I explained why centering mattered, how to spot trimming, how to protect cards during shipping. People thanked me like I was handing out secrets. Meanwhile, Northgate streams turned into a slow-motion wreck. Regulars told me what they saw. Jace mispriced a slab and argued with the winner. He forgot to ship a lot and blamed the mail carrier. He called a card mint when the surface looked like it had survived a pocket full of keys. And worst of all, he started complaining about haters in the chat. You cannot call your customers haters and expect them to keep paying you. That is not business. That is tantrum economics. I watched none of it directly. I did not need to. My own numbers told the story. Card Riot Exchange had momentum. And momentum, once it shifts, is hard to steal back. The funniest part of revenge is how little you have to do once people reveal who they are. I kept streaming. I kept selling. I kept my tone bright, dramatic, and just witty enough to keep the chat grinning. Every live felt like hosting a party where the prizes happened to be rare cardboard. I upgraded slowly. Better lighting, a cleaner microphone, a second camera angle for close-ups. I added a simple ticker on screen so bids were visible, because confusion is the enemy of trust. Trust became my brand. One morning, I opened my messages and saw a new name, Rook Ranger. The message read, I used to bid at Northgate. I am here now. You do not play games. I like that. I replied with a thank you and a shipping estimate. Then I added, if I ever play a game, it will be on a console, not with your money. They laughed. They bought 3 lots. Around late afternoon that same day, a familiar number called. Dad. I let it ring twice, then answered. His voice sounded tired. We need to talk. I am listening, I said. He cleared his throat. Business is down. I pictured the shop, the stuck door, the display case, the sign, the place that had been my whole world, now wobbling because they kicked out the person who kept it balanced. Dad continued, Your brother is stressed. Your mother is stressed. People keep asking where you are. I leaned back in my chair. That tends to happen when you remove the host. Do not be smug, he snapped, then softened. We did what we thought was best. You did what was easiest, I corrected. Those are not the same. Silence crackled between us. Then Dad said, We want you to come back on the streams. I held my breath, not from surprise, but from the strange ache of being wanted only when you are useful. What changed? I asked, already knowing. He sighed. The audience split. Most went with you. There it was. The truth, finally spoken without costume. I kept my voice calm. You took me off the streams to protect the business. Looks like the business followed me. Dad sounded frustrated. You cannot just abandon your family. I almost laughed. You abandoned me. You told me to pack orders like a ghost while Jace played star. Jace made mistakes, Dad said quickly. He knows that now. He knows it because people stopped clapping, I said, not because he grew a conscience. Dad exhaled hard. So what do you want? I thought about all the hours I had spent building their system, the late nights rewriting lot descriptions, the customer disputes I solved quietly, the way my brother took credit like it was air. I want you to respect me, I said, not recruit me. Dad sounded defensive. We do respect you. I let the word hang, then answered with the calm blade of reality. If you respected me, you would not have punished me for telling the truth. He said my name, softer now. Come back. We can fix it. Your mother misses you. My chest tightened. I believed Mom missed the version of me that made her life easier. I did not believe she missed the version that challenged her choices. I am busy, I said. I have my own company. Dad went quiet. So that is it? You are just going to take our customers? I smiled, but not with joy, with clarity. I did not take them. I treated them well, and they walked over. He started to argue, but I cut in, voice still polite. You made a decision in your office without me. I made a decision in my apartment without you. We are even. Then I hung up. I did not block him. I did not send a dramatic speech. I let the silence do the heavy lifting. The next day, Mom showed up in my chat under a username I recognized because it was her favorite phrase, bless this mess. I froze for half a second, then kept going. Cameras love confidence. She typed, We should talk. I ignored it and held up a card. All right, chat, check out this vintage beauty. You can tell it survived decades because it looks better than most people I know. The chat laughed. Mom typed again. Call me. I did not. After the stream, I saw multiple missed calls, voicemails, texts, Dad and Mom both, and even Jace. Jace wrote, This is getting out of hand. You proved your point. Come back. I stared at his message and felt something almost like pity. He had lost the crowd and now wanted the script back. I replied with 2 words. No response. Then I archived the thread. I expanded my schedule. More auctions, more collections, more consistent shipping. Every time someone asked if I would return to Northgate, I answered with a joke and a boundary. I do not go back to jobs that fire me, I told the chat, especially when I was the one doing the actual job. The laughter was sweet, but the real sweetness was quieter. It was waking up and knowing my success did not depend on my brother behaving. It was sleeping well because no one could remove me from my own stage. And somewhere, behind the stuck door of Northgate Card House, my family was learning the oldest lesson in business. You do not treat your best asset like a disposable part. A few streams later, the begging turned into a campaign. It started subtle. Mom would pop into my chat and type little guilt crumbs, as if I was a bird she could lure back with a handful of sadness. We built that shop together. Your father is worried. Jace is not eating well. I did not answer. Then Dad tried a new tactic. He sent an email that looked like a business proposal. It had bullet points. He offered a higher cut of profits, a new title, a promise of equal respect. I read it twice and laughed once. Equal respect was not a perk, it was the bare minimum. Offering it like a bonus told me everything. Jace sent voice notes. He sounded practiced, like he rehearsed sincerity in the mirror. You know I could not do it without you, he said. I almost choked on my coffee. He had done it without me. He had just done it badly. One afternoon, around early evening, I walked into the shop for the first time since the ban. Not to return, not to negotiate. I went because I still had a few personal items in the back room, and I was tired of pretending I did not. The bell over the door rang, and the shop looked the same and smaller. The display cases gleamed like they were trying too hard. A few customers browsed quietly, the kind of quiet that feels like disappointment. Mom looked up, her eyes widened, then softened like she expected a hug. Sweetheart, she said, you came. I came for my things, I said gently. Dad appeared from behind the counter, face tight with hope. Jace stepped out from the stream corner, where the camera sat unused like a sulking pet. Jace tried to smile. Hey, we should talk. I nodded once. We can. Mom reached for my hand. We have been so worried. We made mistakes. You did, I agreed. Dad stepped closer. We want you back on the streams. I looked at them all, really looked. Mom with her anxious eyes, Dad with his pride wrapped in exhaustion, Jace with his restless hands, like he was itching to grab the spotlight again. I asked, why? Dad opened his mouth, but Jace spoke first. Because you are better at it. I held his gaze. That is true. He winced. Mom rushed in. We can make it right. We will say you are co-owner. We will tell everyone you built the streams. We will apologize publicly. Publicly, now that the public mattered. I walked past them into the back room and gathered my items, my notebook, my spare mic, a few small tools I had bought with my own money. They watched me like I was packing up a piece of their future. Dad followed me. You cannot do this. We are family. I turned and kept my voice calm. Family is not a trap. It is supposed to be a shelter. Mom started to cry. Jace looked away. Dad said, if you come back, we can merge. We can keep your brand and ours. We can make it one big thing. I smiled, slow and polite. You want my audience and my system and my reputation? You want me to fix what you broke. You want me to make you look right again. That is not fair, Dad protested. It is accurate, I said. Jace finally exploded, voice sharp. So you are just going to punish us forever? We said we were sorry. I tilted my head. You said you were sorry after the money got quiet. He stepped closer, angry. What do you want from us? I thought about it. Not for long, but sincerely. Revenge is not always fireworks. Sometimes it is a door that stays closed. I want peace, I said. And I have it. Mom whispered, so you will not come back. I lifted my box of things and walked toward the door. I hope your streams improve, I said. And I meant it in the way you mean it when you hope a storm chooses a different house. Dad called after me. At least answer our messages. I paused with my hand on the stuck door and gave them the cleanest truth I had. Silence is not cruelty, I said. It is a boundary. Then I pushed the door open, stepped out, and let it stick behind me for a heartbeat before it released with a soft scrape. Outside, the air felt lighter. The world felt wide. My phone buzzed as I walked to my car. A notification from my latest stream replay, new comments rolling in. Milo. Card Riot is the only place I trust now. Tess, you built something real. Darnell. They had their chance. I drove home with a steady heart. I did not need to shout my revenge. I did not need to post call-outs or dramatic exposés. I did not need to win an argument on camera. I had already won, quietly, by refusing to return to a stage where I was treated like a replaceable prop. My family wanted me back because I was valuable. I stayed away because I finally believed it.